$80,000. That's what the HOA demanded for my grandfather's barn, a structure that's been standing on our family land since 1952. The woman who delivered the fine wore a red blazer and a smile that made my blood run cold. Demolish it or pay, she said. Those are your only options. But this wasn't about building codes. I started investigating and discovered she'd already done this to 8 other families, fake violations, impossible fines. Forced them to sell their generational land for pennies while her husband's company bought everything and flipped it for millions. It was the perfect scam until she made one fatal mistake. She targeted the wrong family. My grandfather's 1952 deed contained legal rights she didn't even know existed, rights powerful enough to not just save my barn, but destroy her entire corrupt empire. What happens next will shock you. The evidence that made her face drain of color, the courtroom moment she'll never forget, and the verdict that restored justice for everyone she'd hurt. Stay until the end because this gets wild. And real quick, where are you watching this from? Drop your city or country below. I love seeing how far these stories reach. The gravel crunches under my boots as I step onto the property for the first time in 20 years, 40 acres of Wisconsin lakefront. Golden October light filtering through oak trees. And there it is, my grandfather's barn, red paint faded to rust. Wooden beams thick as telephone poles, still standing after 70 years. I'm 38, divorced. Burned out from 12 years of running a contracting business in Milwaukee. When Grandpa died and left me this place, it felt like a lifeline, a chance to reset, build something real again. I push open the barn doors. They groan on iron hinges. Inside smells like sawdust and motor oil and time. His workbench sits against the far wall, tools still hanging on pegboard shadows. I run my hand across the wood, smooth, worn. I can almost see him here, building furniture, fixing engines, teaching me how to measure twice and cut once. Photos tacked to the wall. Him in 1954, young and strong, raising the barn frame with neighbors. American flag in the background. This barn is older than the interstate system, older than my father. It's not just wood and nails, it's legacy. I spend 3 days cleaning, sweeping out decades of dust, checking the foundation. The structure's solid, better than half the new construction I've seen. I'm planning my life here, small woodworking shop, maybe custom furniture, live simple, fish the lake, heal. Then I hear tires on gravel. A silver Lexus appears through the trees. Gleaming out of place, it parks next to my beat-up Ford truck. The door opens, she's maybe mid-50s. Blonde hair cut in a sharp bob, red blazer over a white blouse. Everything about her screams money and control. She's carrying a clipboard like it's a weapon. "You must be Mr. Carter," she says, smile tight, eyes already scanning my property like a health inspector in a failing restaurant. "That's me, Victoria Brennan, president of the Clearwater Estates Homeowners Association." She extends a hand, I shake it, her grip is cold. "Welcome to the community." Didn't know there was a community. My grandfather never mentioned an HOA. It was established in 2018. We oversee all properties bordering the lake. Her eyes lock onto my barn. "That structure, do you have permits on file?" My stomach tightens. "Permits? It's been here since 1954. "That's irrelevant." She's already writing on her clipboard. "Current HOA regulations require documentation for all structures, barns, sheds, docks." "Everything? You're joking." Her pen stops. She looks up. The smile is gone. "I don't joke about property compliance, Mr. Carter. You have 30 days to submit a retroactive permit application or face daily fines. Fines? $500 per day until you comply or remove the structure." She tears a yellow paper from her clipboard. Hands it to me. "This is your official violation notice." I stare at the paper, official letterhead, legal language. My hands start shaking, not from fear, from rage. "This barn predates your HOA by 66 years. You can't." "I can and I will." She's already walking back to her Lexus. 30 days, Mr. Carter, clock's ticking." She drives away. Gravel dust hangs in the air. I stand there holding the violation notice. My grandfather's barn behind me, and I feel something cold settle in my chest. This woman just declared war on the wrong family. What I didn't know yet, she'd done this before, and those people lost everything. I don't sleep. I'm online until 3 a.m. searching property records, HOA law, anything. My laptop screen burns my eyes, but I can't stop. Clearwater Estates HOA, established 2018. Right after a development company bought 3 large parcels on the North Shore. They built McMansions, 8 of them, then created the HOA and claimed authority over the entire lake perimeter, including land they don't own. Including my land. I find the HOA bylaws buried in county records, dense legal language, but one section makes my blood boil. All properties within the Clearwater boundary must comply with architectural and environmental standards regardless of structure, age, or prior ownership. It's a land grab dressed up as community management. Morning comes, I'm running on coffee and fury. I tear through boxes in the barn until I find what I'm looking for, a metal lockbox. Inside, my grandfather's original deed, handwritten, dated April 1952. Property survey maps, black and white photos of him and three other men raising the barn frame, everything documented, everything legal. I call Victoria, she answers on the second ring. Mrs. Brennan, I have documentation proving my barn predates any HOA authority. My grandfather's deed, Mr. Carter, her voice is ice. The age of your structure is irrelevant. What matters is current compliance. Your grandfather never registered with this HOA. That makes your barn non-compliant. Because your HOA didn't exist when he built it. Silence. 3 seconds then, the fine is $500 per day. It's been 5 days since the notice. You currently owe $2,500. Would you like to discuss payment? My vision blurs. You can't be serious. Deadly serious, pay or remove the structure. Those are your options. She hangs up. I sit on the barn floor, head in my hands. This can't be legal. It can't be. I call James Whitaker, a property attorney a buddy recommended. His secretary patches me through. I explain everything rapid fire. When I finish, he's quiet. Mr. Carter, I need to be honest. HOAs in Wisconsin have enormous power if their bylaws are properly filed. They can fine, they can lien. They can even force property sales in extreme cases. So I'm screwed? Not necessarily. If your deed predates the HOA and includes certain historical rights, we might have leverage, but I need to review everything. Can you bring me those documents? Yes, today. And Mr. Carter, don't antagonize her. People like this get dangerous when challenged. That night I'm back in the barn, grandfather's tools hanging on the wall, his workbench. I hear his voice in my memory from when I was 10 years old. Never let bullies push you off your land, son. The moment you back down, you lose everything. I won't back down. Next morning, another yellow paper is stapled to my door. Notice of escalated violation. Fine increased to $1,000 per day for failure to respond appropriately. The math hits me like a fist. 30 days at $1,000 per day, $30,000. For a barn that stood here since Eisenhower was president, I rip the notice down, crumple it. But the numbers are already burned into my brain. Victoria Brennan just made the biggest mistake of her life. She picked a fight with someone who knows how to build and how to tear down. The community center smells like burnt coffee and air freshener. 15 people sit in folding chairs, mostly retirees, pastel sweaters, neutral expressions. Victoria sits at a long table up front. Pink blazer today, hair perfect, lipstick sharp, I'm the only one standing. Mr. Carter has requested time to address the board, Victoria announces, voice flat, professional. But her eyes are predator eyes. I step forward. My hands grip the folder with my grandfather's documents. My property predates this HOA by 66 years. My barn is legal. I have the original deed, construction photos, survey maps, everything. I spread the papers on the table. Victoria doesn't look at them. We've reviewed your situation, she says, fingers steepled. While your deed is old, our environmental survey from 2019 shows your barn violates current lake setback regulations. What regulations? State law requires all structures to be 100 feet from the waterline. Your barn is 73 feet, that's a violation. My jaw tightens. Built in 1954, those regulations didn't exist. But you began renovations last month. She slides a paper across the table. Our compliance officer documented you repairing the roof and replacing boards. That constitutes new construction under HOA Code 12.47. I stare at the paper. Photos of my truck at the barn. Me carrying lumber, dated. That's not new construction, that's basic maintenance. Legally, it's the same, Victoria stands. Any significant renovation requires a permit, you didn't apply. Therefore, your barn is in violation on multiple grounds. A woman in the front row, bleached hair, expensive watch, raises her hand. Why doesn't he just move the barn back? Problem solved. I spin toward her. Move a 70-year-old barn, do you people hear yourselves? Victoria bangs a gavel. Mr. Carter, outbursts won't help your case. This isn't a case, it's extortion. The room goes silent. Victoria's face hardens. Your fine currently stands at $18,000. Pay within 15 days or we'll file a lien against your property. Next agenda item. Wait, this discussion is over. 2 board members stand. They're not security, but they might as well be. I'm being dismissed. Erased. I grab my documents and walk out. The door slams behind me. Outside, the parking lot is empty except for my truck and a couple of expensive sedans. I'm shaking, not fear, pure rage. Son. I turn. An older man stands by a pickup, 60-something, flannel shirt, work boots, weathered face. Name's Tom, I live 2 miles east. He glances back at the community center. You need to know something. She did this to the Hendersons last year. Who? Jack and Mary Henderson owned property on the South Shore, been there 40 years. Victoria targeted them. Violations, fines. Kept escalating until they couldn't afford to fight. They sold. My chest tightens. Sold to who? Development company, don't remember the name. He steps closer, lowers his voice. But I remember the buyer's rep. Victoria's husband. Everything clicks into place. This isn't about regulations, this is about stealing land. Tom hands me a scrap of paper, phone number, that's the Hendersons, they moved to Green Bay, talk to them. And son, his eyes are serious. Be careful, Victoria doesn't lose, she buries people. He gets in his truck and drives away. I stand there in the parking lot, $18,000 in fines, a barn I refuse to demolish. And a woman who's running a scam so brazen it should be impossible. But she made one mistake, she left a trail, and I'm going to follow it straight back to her. The number climbs every day, 23,000, 29,000, 32,000. I watch it balloon like a tumor. James, my attorney, says we can fight but litigation takes months, maybe years, and legal fees will match the fines dollar for dollar. I'm burning through savings, barely eating. Can't sleep more than 3 hours before I wake up with my heart hammering. Every car that passes on the road feels like surveillance. Every phone call unknown. I'm paranoid and I know it, but I can't stop. Then Victoria escalates. The county inspector shows up on a Tuesday. No warning, white truck, clipboard, he's young, maybe 30, apologetic eyes. Sir, I have to inspect your barn, complaint filed claiming structural instability and environmental hazard. Hazard. It's been here 70 years. I'm just doing my job. He walks the property, takes photos, checks the foundation, measures distances. I follow him like a shadow. He won't make eye contact. Finally, by his truck, he glances around. Lowers his voice. Off the record, this barn is solid, foundation's better than most new builds. Someone's pulling strings here. Who filed the complaint? He looks uncomfortable. I can't say, but it came through the HOA. He drives away. 2 days later, the county notice arrives. Official seal, legal letterhead, cease and desist order. All use of property suspended pending safety review. Estimated review time 60 to 90 days. Violation of this order constitutes criminal trespass. I read it 3 times. I'm homeless on my own land. That night I sleep in my truck, parked on the property line, close enough to see the barn, far enough to technically comply. The seat reclines but not enough. My back screams. Cold seeps through the windows. I watch the barn in the moonlight. Grandfather's barn, standing strong while I fall apart. Neighbors walk past in the morning. They don't wave. Don't acknowledge me, I'm the problem now. The guy who won't follow the rules. 3 days of this. Truck living. Gas station bathrooms, protein bars for meals, then headlights flood my cab. 11 p.m. I'm half asleep, silver Lexus. Victoria, she parks, steps out. Red blazer glows in my truck lights. She walks to my window, taps the glass with one knuckle. Polite, controlled, I roll the window down, say nothing. You're suffering unnecessarily, Mr. Carter. Her voice is almost kind, almost. I have buyers interested in your property. 120,000 cash close in 2 weeks, all fines forgiven. I do the math instantly. Property's worth 400,000 minimum, probably more with lake access. You're trying to steal my land. Her expression doesn't change. I'm offering you a way out. You're homeless, buried in fines. The county has your property frozen. You can't win this. Get away from my truck, she sighs, like I'm a child refusing to eat vegetables. You have 48 hours to accept. After that, the offer drops to 90,000. And it keeps dropping. She walks back to her Lexus, drives away, taillights disappear. I sit in the dark, shaking, not from cold, from rage so pure it feels like religion. She's not just stealing land, she's enjoying this. The power. The control, watching people break. I pull out my phone, call James, it goes to voicemail. I need everything you can find on Lakefront Development LLC, Victoria's husband, property transfers, all of it. I don't care what it costs. Because if she wants war, I'll give her war. I remember Tom's words, the Hendersons, I find their number in public records. Mary Henderson answers on the 3rd ring, voice tired, suspicious. Mrs. Henderson, my name is David Carter. I own property on Clearwater Lake. Victoria Brennan is trying to force me off my land. Tom said you went through something similar. Long silence, then, you should come talk to us. Not over the phone. I drive 3 hours, Green Bay, small ranch house. Mary Henderson is 70-something, gray hair, kind eyes that have seen too much. Her husband Jack sits in a recliner, oxygen tank beside him. We were there 42 years, Mary says, hands trembling around a coffee mug. Raised our kids on that property, Jack built our dock himself. What happened? Victoria. The name comes out like poison. Started in 2019. Violation notices. Our dock was too wide, our shed was unpermitted, our tree was blocking a sightline, every month something new. Jack speaks, voice raspy. We tried to fight, got an attorney, but the fines kept climbing. 20,000. 40,000, we're on fixed income, couldn't pay, couldn't fight. So you sold? Mary nods, tears in her eyes. $73,000 for property worth 300,000. Who bought it? She stands. Retrieves a folder from a drawer, hands me a document, purchase agreement. Buyer, Lakefront Development LLC. My blood goes cold. Did you know who owned this company? Not at the time, found out later. Jack coughs. Richard Brennan, Victoria's husband. There it is, confirmation. I drive back 3 hours to think, to plan. This isn't isolated, it's systematic. A husband-wife operation. She manufactures violations through the HOA. Buries families in fines, forces sales. He buys cheap through his LLC, flips for massive profit. How many families? I spend 2 days at the county recorder's office, requesting every property transfer on Clearwater Lake from 2018 to present. The pattern is undeniable. 8 properties, all targeted with HOA violations, all sold under duress, all purchased by Lakefront Development LLC, all resold within 6 months at 2 to 3 times the purchase price. It's a criminal conspiracy, but I need more than pattern recognition. I need her on record. I buy a small digital recorder, test it, clear audio. I check Wisconsin law, single-party consent state. I can record conversations I'm part of without informing the other person. Next HOA meeting is in 4 days. I'll make her talk, confess, something usable, but first I need leverage. I go back to grandfather's documents, spread them across the barn floor, deed, survey maps, property description, then I see it. Handwritten note on the 1952 survey. Riparian rights granted per state land commission. Riparian rights. I've heard the term but don't know what it means. I call James. What are riparian rights? Water access rights. If your grandfather's property includes original riparian rights from a state land grant, those are permanent. They supersede later regulations. My heart races. Can an HOA override them? No. Riparian rights are considered property rights. They're protected. Why? Because my grandfather's deed mentions them. James goes quiet. Then send me photos of everything right now. I do. 10 minutes later he calls back. Voice electric. David, if this is legitimate and it looks legitimate, your property doesn't just predate the HOA. It has legal authority over lake access that the HOA can't touch. What does that mean? It means if your barn is connected to those riparian rights, say, for boat storage or dock access, Victoria can't force you to remove it. At all hope, first time in weeks. There's more, James says. I dug into the HOA bylaws. To legally establish an HOA in Wisconsin covering existing properties, they need 75% of property owners to sign on. I checked the records, they only got 62%. My brain explodes. Are you saying their HOA might be legally invalid, which means every fine, every violation, every forced sale, all of it could be fraudulent? I sit down hard on the barn floor. The weapon I needed just landed in my lap, and Victoria has no idea it exists. James calls an emergency meeting at his office. Small room, law books on shelves. He's got documents spread across the desk like a battle plan. Here's what we've got, he says, tapping papers. Your riparian rights are ironclad. Original state grant, permanent. Your barn sits within the riparian zone, which means it's legally connected to your water access rights. So they can't touch it. Correct, but it gets better. He pulls up another document. The Clearwater Estates HOA bylaws. To legally impose rules on pre-existing properties, Wisconsin law requires 75% owner approval. They claim they got it. But I subpoenaed the original sign-up records. He shows me a spreadsheet, names, addresses, signatures. They got 62%, not 75%. Legally, their HOA was never properly ratified. I lean back, mind racing. So every fine they've issued, invalid, every lien, every forced compliance, all of it potentially fraudulent. What about the families they already forced out? James nods slowly. If we can prove the HOA was operating illegally, those families might have grounds to sue for damages, maybe even get their properties back. This is bigger than my barn. What do? We file a lawsuit. Challenge the HOA's legal authority, demand full financial records, gather testimonies from other victims. He meets my eyes. But David, this will get ugly. Victoria will come at you with everything, countersuit, harassment. She'll try to bury you. I think of grandfather, the barn, the Hendersons crying in their small house. Let's destroy her. We spend 3 days preparing. James files the lawsuit. Challenging HOA legitimacy, demanding cease of all fines, requesting investigation into fraudulent land acquisition. We need testimonies. I start calling the families from the property records. Most won't talk, too scared. 2 traumatized, but 3 agree to meet. They tell the same story, Victoria, violations, escalating fines, forced sales. One man, Rick Dawson, starts crying. I built that house with my dad. She took it in 8 months. We document everything. James also files a formal complaint with the State Attorney General's office. Potential fraud, conspiracy, racketeering. My fines are now $54,000. Victoria sends a final notice, pay in full or face property seizure. James responds with our lawsuit. Now we wait. 2 days later, I request an emergency HOA meeting. Bylaws say any property owner can request one with 5 days' notice. Victoria tries to deny it. James cites the procedural rules. She has to allow it. Meeting scheduled for Saturday, 10 a.m. I spend Friday night in the barn. Can't sleep rehearsing what I'll say, how I'll present the evidence. Grandfather's tools hang on the wall. I touch his workbench. This is for you, I whisper, and everyone else she's hurt. Saturday morning, I arrive early, James beside me. We carry boxes of documents, evidence. The community center fills, 15 board members, maybe 20 other residents. Word has spread. Victoria sits at the head table, pink blazer today, hair immaculate. But I see something new in her eyes, uncertainty. She knows something's coming. The meeting starts. Routine business, budget reports, landscaping contracts. Then Victoria says, Mr. Carter has requested time to address the board. I stand. Every eye on me. I'm here to expose a fraud. The room goes dead silent. I present everything, property transfer records, victim testimonies, proof that Lakefront Development LLC is owned by Richard Brennan. The pattern of targeting families, forcing sales, flipping properties. You've been using this HOA as a weapon to steal land, I say, voice steady, strong, and your HOA was never legally valid in the first place. Victoria stands. Face white, then red, trembling. You have no idea what you're doing. This board has legal authority. Your grandfather's ancient papers mean nothing. James stands, calm, professional. Actually, Mrs. Brennan, they mean everything. His riparian rights supersede any HOA authority, and we have proof your HOA bylaws were never properly ratified. You've been operating illegally for 5 years. Victoria slams her hand on the table. You dare accuse me? I've built this community, protected property values. You're a nobody with a worthless barn. I step closer, look her dead in the eye, and you're a thief in a blazer. Her face twists with rage. Security is called. But as I'm escorted out, 3 HOA members follow me. They want to join the lawsuit. The dam is breaking, and Victoria's about to drown. Victoria goes nuclear within 48 hours. I walk out to my truck Tuesday morning. All 4 tires slashed. Clean cuts, deliberate, no note, no witnesses, but I know. I call the sheriff. Deputy arrives, young guy, sympathetic but useless. No cameras out here unless you have proof. I don't. Thursday, anonymous complaints flood the county. Trespassing, disturbing the peace, threatening behavior. Another deputy shows up. Older, tired eyes. Mr. Carter, you've been accused of harassing HOA members. That's a lie, he sighs. Shows me printed emails, timestamps, detailed descriptions of me supposedly yelling at residents, following cars, none of it true. Look, I believe you, he says quietly, but I have to document this. Just keep your distance, okay? I show him the lawsuit paperwork. He reads it, nods slowly. Sounds like you kicked a hornet's nest. He leaves. I stand in my driveway, paranoid, isolated. Every shadow feels hostile. Then the real hit comes. Certified letter, legal letterhead. Victoria Brennan versus David Carter. Countersuit, defamation, harassment, interference with HOA operations. Damages sought $200,000. My hands shake reading it. James warned me about SLAPP suits, strategic lawsuit against public participation, designed to intimidate, drain resources, force settlement. I call James. Can she do this? She can file it. Doesn't mean she'll win, it's intimidation, but we have to respond, which costs money and time. How much time? Months, maybe a year. My savings are evaporating. Legal fees, fines still accumulating, $68,000 now. The county lien threat is real. They can seize my property if I don't pay. I'm living in a motel, 15 miles from my land. $40 a night, thin walls, stale smoke smell. I lie awake listening to trucks on the highway. One night I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at grandfather's photo. Worn frame, his face young and strong. I want to quit, sell, walk away, let Victoria win. Then my phone rings, unknown number. Mr. Carter, this is Tom. The guy from the parking lot. Yeah, I remember. Listen, folks around here have been talking. We remember your grandfather, good man, honest. He helped a lot of families. Pause, we want to help you. Something cracks in my chest. How? Meeting tomorrow night, VFW Hall, 7 p.m. Just come. I go. The VFW Hall smells like beer and old wood. 30 people inside, older folks mostly. Tom, the Hendersons drove down, Rick Dawson. Others I don't know. Tom stands. We all got stories about Victoria. Some of us fought, some didn't, but we're tired of watching her destroy people. One by one they share, bogus fines, threats, forced sales. A woman named Linda starts crying. She took my mother's house. Mom died a year later, broken heart. They vote, unanimous, join the lawsuit as co-plaintiffs. James is stunned when I tell him. This changes everything, multiple victims. Pattern of behavior, this isn't small claims anymore. This is a racketeering case. Then the journalist calls, Sarah Kemp, local investigative reporter. Mr. Carter, I've been tracking Lakefront Development LLC for 8 months. Your lawsuit just gave me the hook I needed. Can we talk? We meet at a diner. She's 40-something, sharp eyes, recorder on the table. I tell her everything. She takes notes, shows me her research. Shell companies, property flips. Money trails connecting Victoria's HOA to her husband's LLC. This is front page, she says. I publish Friday. Friday comes, the headline, HOA land grab scheme exposed. Local families fight back. The article goes viral, local TV picks it up. Then regional news, my phone explodes, supportive messages, interview requests, but also threats, anonymous emails. Drop the lawsuit or you'll regret it. I forward everything to the sheriff. State authorities take notice. Attorney General's office opens an investigation into Clearwater Estates HOA. Victoria's empire is cracking. But cornered animals are the most dangerous. And I can feel her planning something big, 6 months of depositions, discovery, legal warfare. Victoria's lawyers fight everything, delay tactics, procedural objections. But James is relentless. We finally get a court date. County courthouse, old building, wood paneling, American flag hanging behind the judge's bench. I wear the only suit I own, dry cleaned, pressed. I look at myself in the bathroom mirror before we go in. Dark circles under my eyes, thinner than I was but still standing. The courtroom fills. Our side, 15 co-plaintiffs, James, Sarah Kemp the journalist, supporters, Victoria's side. 3 lawyers in expensive suits. Richard Brennan, her husband, sitting behind her, silver hair, cold eyes, and Victoria, red blazer, blonde hair perfect. Lipstick sharp, she looks calm, confident. But when our eyes meet across the aisle, I see it. Fear, judge enters, woman in her 60s, stern face, reading glasses, be seated. The bailiff reads the case. Carter et al. Versus Brennan and Clearwater Estates HOA. James stands, delivers opening statement, clear, methodical, lays out the pattern, 8 families targeted, bogus violations, fines designed to force sales. Lakefront Development LLC buying properties below market value, reselling for massive profit. This is not community management, James says, this is organized theft. Victoria's lead attorney, slick guy, expensive watch, argues it's all coincidence. The HOA acted in good faith. The Brennan's business is separate, no connection. Mr. Carter refused to follow reasonable regulations, he says. He's upset and looking for someone to blame. The judge listens, face neutral. Then evidence, James presents property transfer records, side-by-side comparisons, sale prices versus resale prices. The profit margins are obscene. Victoria's lawyer objects. Irrelevant. Market forces determine value. Judge overrules. I'll allow it. James calls witnesses. Rick Dawson, the Hendersons, Linda whose mother died. They tell their stories, some cry. The courtroom is silent except for testimony and occasional objections. Victoria sits rigid, doesn't react. Then James calls me. I walk to the stand, swear in, hand on Bible. James walks me through it. The inheritance. Victoria's first visit. The escalating fines, the cease and desist, sleeping in my truck. Why didn't you just comply? James asks. Because compliance meant erasing my grandfather's legacy. That barn isn't just wood, it's family. It's history, and I knew something was wrong. Victoria's attorney cross-examines, tries to paint me as stubborn, uncooperative. You ignored multiple notices, correct? I ignored illegal demands. You're not a lawyer, Mr. Carter. How do you determine what's legal? Common sense. A barn from 1954 doesn't need permission from an HOA created in 2018. Small murmurs in the courtroom. The judge bangs her gavel. Order, then James's nuclear option. He calls Victoria to the stand. She walks up, sworn in, sits, crosses her legs, still composed. James starts gentle. Background questions, how long she's been HOA president. Her responsibilities, then he strikes. Mrs. Brennan, are you familiar with Lakefront Development LLC? Objection, relevance. Her attorney stands. Your Honor, it's directly relevant to motive. I'll allow it. Answer the question, Mrs. Brennan. Victoria's jaw tightens. Yes, it's my husband's company. And how many properties has Lakefront Development purchased in the Clearwater area since 2019? I don't know exactly. James slides a document across. 8 properties, here's the list. Do you recognize these addresses? She scans it, face paling. Yes. All 8 properties were subject to HOA violations before being sold, correct? Some properties had compliance issues, yes. And all 8 were purchased by your husband's company? Long pause. I believe so. You believe so, or you know so. Objection, badgering. Sustained, rephrase, counselor. James pulls out bank records, wire transfers. Mrs. Brennan, these are HOA account records. This transfer here, $15,000 from the HOA account to your personal account. Can you explain that? Her face drains of color. That was reimbursement for administrative costs. Administrative costs. Or a kickback, objection. But the damage is done. The jury, yes, we got a jury trial, sees her falter. James shows emails, text messages between Victoria and Richard discussing target properties. One text. Carter won't budge, increase pressure. Victoria's hands shake, her perfect facade cracks, and the courtroom feels it. Justice is coming, 3 weeks of waiting, the jury deliberates, I can't eat, can't focus. James tells me not to hope too hard. Juries are unpredictable, but I do hope because hope is all I have left. The call comes on a Wednesday. Jury has reached a verdict, be at the courthouse in 2 hours. I drive there. Hands shaking on the wheel. Park, walk inside. The courthouse feels massive. Imposing, the courtroom fills both sides, spectators, Sarah Kemp with her notepad, Tom, the Hendersons, Victoria sits across the aisle, red blazer. But her hair isn't perfect today. Face drawn, no lipstick, Richard isn't with her, judge enters, all rise. We sit, the jury files in, 12 faces, I try to read them, can't. Has the jury reached a verdict? The judge asks. Foreman stands, older man, gray beard, we have your honor. On the charge of fraudulent HOA operations, how do you find? We find in favor of the plaintiffs. My heart stops, then explodes, the courtroom erupts. Gasps, whispers, Tom grips my shoulder. Judge bangs gavel. Order, the foreman continues. We find that Clearwater Estates HOA was improperly established and operated outside legal authority. All fines and liens imposed are voided. Victoria's head drops. Her attorney whispers urgently to her, but the judge isn't finished. Furthermore, based on the evidence presented, this court finds sufficient grounds for criminal investigation. I'm referring this case to the state attorney general for charges of fraud, extortion, and conspiracy. Victoria gasps, audible, her hands cover her face. This court awards compensatory and punitive damages to the plaintiffs in the amount of $1.2 million to be paid jointly by Victoria Brennan and Richard Brennan. The number echoes. $1.2 million. Victoria collapses forward, sobbing into her hands. Her attorney tries to object. The judge silences him. The evidence was clear and damning. Your clients engaged in systematic fraud. They're fortunate this is a civil proceeding. We're dismissed. Outside the courtroom chaos, reporters swarm, questions shouted, cameras flashing. I give a brief statement, voice steady. This is for everyone who's been bullied by corrupt authority. You can fight back, you can win. That night I drive to my property, first time in months. I park, walk to the barn, unlock the doors. Inside, everything is as I left it. Grandfather's tools, workbench, photos on the wall. I stand in the center, close my eyes, feel his presence. We did it, I whisper, we won. Over the next month, Victoria and Richard are charged criminally. Wire fraud, racketeering, extortion. They plead guilty, avoid trial, sentencing. 3 years probation, full restitution to all victims, permanent ban from any HOA leadership position. Lakefront Development LLC is dissolved, assets seized. Properties returned to original owners or compensated at market value. The Hendersons get their property back. Linda's family receives a settlement. Rick Dawson buys a new house with his payout. 8 families made whole. Victoria and Richard's assets are liquidated. House sold, cars, everything, they move out of state. Wisconsin wants nothing to do with them. I hear later they divorced. Victoria works retail somewhere in Iowa. Richard manages a storage facility. Their empire gone, their reputation destroyed, and me? I get my property free and clear, no fines, no liens, no threats. I stand on my land, 40 acres, the lake glittering in afternoon sun. The barn behind me, and I finally breathe. But winning the fight was only the beginning. Now comes the rebuilding, and making sure this never happens to anyone else. The settlement money comes through. I use it wisely. First, restore the barn properly this time. I hire contractors I trust, new roof, reinforced foundation, but we preserve grandfather's original work, his hand-hewn beams. His joinery, the bones of what he built, it takes 3 months. When it's done, the barn looks exactly as it did in those 1954 photos. Red paint fresh, doors plumb, strong. I stand inside on completion day. The contractor hands me the keys. Your grandfather built this to last, we just helped it keep going. I convert half the barn into a community workshop, table saws, drill presses, hand tool benches. The other half stays storage, boats, kayaks, equipment. Then I open it to the public, free, word spreads. Kids come after school, learn woodworking, build birdhouses, cutting boards, families bring projects. Seniors share techniques they learned decades ago. The barn becomes what it was always meant to be. A place where things get built, where skills pass down, where community happens. Tom helps me plant trees along the property line. Oaks. Maples, creating a green buffer. We work in comfortable silence, digging holes, setting roots. You did good, son, he says, real good. Sarah, the teacher I met during all this, brings her students for field trips. They learn measuring. Sawing, sanding, she and I start dating. Coffee turns into dinners, dinners turn into weekends. She's kind, patient, sees past the trauma to who I'm trying to become. We hold a dedication ceremony in late summer. 50 people show up. The Hendersons, Rick, Linda, Tom, James, Sarah Kemp the journalist, local officials. I unveil a plaque on the barn door, built 1954 by William Carter, restored 2024 by his grandson David. A place of craft, community, and resilience, open to all. Mrs. Henderson hugs me, crying, your grandfather would be so proud. I believe her, but I'm not done. James and I establish a nonprofit, the Riparian Rights Defense Fund. Our mission: help property owners fight predatory HOAs. We provide free legal consultations, connect people with attorneys, document abuse cases, advocate for legislative reform. Within 6 months, we've helped 20 families, stopped bogus fines, challenged illegal liens. Some cases settle, some go to court. We win most of them. The fund grows: donations, volunteers, media attention. I'm invited to speak at a national property rights conference in Denver. 200 people in the audience. Lawyers, activists, property owners fighting their own battles. I tell my story. The barn, Victoria, the fight, the victory. When I finish, standing ovation. 30 seconds, then a minute. Afterward, people line up sharing their stories: HOA nightmares, corrupt boards, stolen homes, a woman from Arizona, a man from Florida, a couple from Oregon. All fighting similar battles. I give them resources, contacts, hope. One man older grips my hand. I was ready to give up. Your story changed my mind. I'm going to fight. That's when I know this isn't just about my barn anymore. It's about every family with a bully in a blazer. Every person who thinks they're powerless against systems designed to crush them. We're building something bigger, a movement. And it started with one 70-year-old barn and one man who refused to back down. Because sometimes the only way to stop a thief is to shine a light so bright they can't hide anymore. 2 years later, the barn is thriving, workshops every Saturday, waiting lists for classes. We've expanded programming: welding, metalwork, wood turning. Sarah and I are engaged, small wedding planned, just family and close friends. By the lake, in view of the barn, the community has healed, stronger than before. New HOA formed, legitimate this time. Transparent bylaws, elected oversight. Tom serves as president. Meetings are actually boring, which is perfect. The Riparian Rights Defense Fund has offices in 3 states now: Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota. We've won legal victories in 15 cases. Legislation introduced in Wisconsin, the Property Owner Protection Act. I'm invited to testify before the state legislature. Committee hearing, packed room. I sit at the witness table, microphone in front of me, legislators behind the bench. My name is David Carter. 2 years ago, a corrupt HOA tried to steal my family's land using bogus fines and illegal threats. I fought back, I won, but I shouldn't have had to fight that hard. I present our recommendations: cap on HOA fines, third-party oversight, mandatory transparency, penalties for fraudulent enforcement. Questions follow. Some legislators are skeptical, others supportive. One senator asks, "Do you believe HOAs serve a legitimate purpose?" Yes, when they're honest, when they actually serve homeowners instead of enriching themselves. But without oversight, they become weapons. The hearing ends. 3 months later, the bill passes. The governor signs it. The Property Owner Protection Act becomes law. It's not perfect, but it's something. Media coverage is national now. The story resonates. Everyone knows someone screwed by an HOA. Everyone has a story. I'm on podcasts, news programs, op-eds in major papers. But the best moments are the quiet ones in the barn. Teaching a kid how to use a chisel, watching their face light up when the wood curls away clean, or sitting with Sarah on the dock, sunset painting the lake gold, her head on my shoulder. "You did it," she says, "changed things. We did it. All of us." One evening, an envelope arrives, no return address, postmark from Iowa. Inside, a handwritten note, simple, unsigned: "You were right, I'm sorry." I know the handwriting. Victoria. I stare at the note, feel nothing, no anger. No satisfaction, just tired acknowledgement. I fold it, put it in a drawer. Some wounds heal, some don't. But carrying hate doesn't help. The barn stands, the community grows. The fund protects more families every month. Grandfather's legacy isn't just wood and nails. It's the principle that nobody gets to push you off your land, that bullies lose when good people refuse to quit. Mrs. Henderson passes away peacefully in her sleep. I attend the funeral. Her kids thank me for getting their mother's property back. She had 2 good years there before she died. That mattered. It did matter. Tom retires from the HOA, hands leadership to a younger couple, stays involved but steps back. "You inspired a lot of folks," he tells me, "showed them it's possible." I keep building, keep teaching, keep fighting for families who need help, because that's the real victory, not defeating one corrupt person, but creating systems that prevent the next one, and teaching people they have power, they have rights, they have worth. The barn stands, the work continues. And every day I walk past grandfather's photo and know this is what he would have wanted. 5 years after the verdict, I'm 43. Life has settled into something I never expected. Sarah and I married 3 years ago, small ceremony by the lake. Tom officiated, the barn in the background. We built a house on the property. Simple, efficient, solar panels, rain collection, designed it together, every nail intentional, every beam measured. The barn workshop serves 200 people a month now. We've trained over 1,000 community members. Some have started their own businesses. Furniture makers, artisans, craftspeople. The Riparian Rights Defense Fund operates in 7 states, full-time staff, pro bono attorney network. We've helped 300 families. Legislative victories in 4 states. But the numbers aren't what matters. What matters is the letter from a single mother in Michigan who kept her home. The call from a veteran in Minnesota who didn't have to sell his grandfather's farm. The email from a teacher in Illinois who fought her HOA and won. Each one a life not destroyed. Each one a family not displaced. I still walk into the barn every morning, touch grandfather's workbench, feel the smooth wood worn by his hands. Then mine. Some days I teach classes, some days I just build chairs, tables, things that last. Sarah teaches middle school, brings students out for field trips. They're loud and chaotic and ask a million questions. I love it. We're talking about kids, maybe next year. The thought terrifies and excites me equally. Tom is 75 now, still sharp, still active. We fish together. Talk about wood, grain, and weather and grandchildren. The lake hasn't changed, still beautiful, still peaceful. The barn stands reflected in the water on clear days. Victoria never returned to Wisconsin. I heard she remarried. Works at a garden center in Iowa. I don't think about her much. The anger burned out years ago. Some people ask if I regret the fight, the cost, the stress, the months of hell. Never, because that fight taught me who I am, what I'm capable of. That ordinary people can defeat corrupt systems if they refuse to quit. Grandfather knew that. He built the barn to last, not just the structure. The principle, stand your ground, do good work, help your neighbors. Last week a young guy showed up at the barn, mid-20s. Nervous, said his HOA is trying to fine him for solar panels. I sat him down, made coffee, listened to his story, then I made a call. Connected him with our fund's attorney in his state. You're going to be okay, I told him. Fight smart, don't fight angry, and don't quit. He left with hope in his eyes. That's legacy, not monuments, not headlines. Just one person helping the next. Passing down knowledge like grandfather passed his tools to me. The barn will stand another 70 years, maybe more, long after I'm gone. And every person who walks through those doors will know bullies lose. Corruption fails, justice is slow, but it's real. You just have to be stubborn enough to see it through. I stand in the barn doorway. Evening light golden across the lake. Sarah calls from the house, dinner's ready. I take one last look. The workbenches, the tools, the photos, grandfather smiling in black and white. We did good, I whisper. We did real good. And I believe it. This story isn't just mine. It's everyone's who's ever been pushed around by people with power and clipboards and fake authority. The barn still stands. The work continues. And if you're fighting your own battle against corruption, don't quit. You're not alone. If this story meant something to you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you're fighting for. Because every comment, every story builds this community stronger. And that's how we win together.